pretty good, wasn't it? What little stings we had, the little logos for new segments on the show. Moral Maze, where we talk about various issues, and you saw them mentioned there, life and sexuality, family, extremism, that aren't always covered elsewhere. Although I think this particular issue probably has been covered, at least on this station, if not others. Before we introduce our guests, let's have a look at this clip now, please.
I'm a registered nurse who witnessed babies being delivered alive and left out to die. And because of my experience, I was asked to testify on the national level before a U.S. House committee. And for this method of abortion, the abortionist inserts a medication into the birth canal of the mom and induce premature labor. And my experience was that they lived as short as a few minutes to once almost as long as an 8-hour shift. To be clear, these were living babies who were left out to die.
That's the United States, how terrible it is. That was a former Chicago nurse. It happens here as well. My guest, Shantel Joes from Campaign Life Coalition. Welcome back to the show. You were on once before. Rave response to you. So
Thank you.
I'd heard about this. Barack Obama, peace be upon him, for example, as a senator, voted for babies who were born after abortion to be left to die, being a man of enormous compassion. But the Canadian numbers...
Canadian numbers just came out recently. Actually, it's been around since 2009. Stats Canada released it. LifeSite News reported just a few days ago, last week, Wednesday, that from 2000 to 2009, 491 babies were terminated. So what it was that, you know, if you look on Stats Canada, 102,536 is the table, and you break it down subsection and you code it under 96.4, which is termination of a pregnancy affecting fetus and newborn. When you look at it and you add it up from 2000 to 2009, there's 491 deaths, and it's simply unaccounted for besides the terminology of termination of pregnancy.
And no one in I call it big abortion, like big tobacco, because huge amounts of money, big propaganda. No one in big abortion has denied this.
No one has come out and said anything at all. Statistics Canada, who was first approached to clarify this test, haven't responded. The only thing that they've said is, no, this doesn't include stillborn births. So we are looking at a number of babies who were either attempted abortions. We don't know exactly what's going on, but I mean, they were terminated after birth. And it's 491. The Justice Minister hasn't come out and said anything as yet. Obviously, he's seen that 45,000 people have taken a look at this, and there is a growing number of people who are outraged by the accusation that 491 children are gone. We don't know what's happening. This is an abortion in the clinical sense, and it's not, you know, the way that it's being perceived as.
But it's attempted abortion. This is a late-term abortion, we assume, where the baby... Now, we know this has happened. There's enormous amounts of evidence it's happened.
It's happened.
But we've generally had examples from Europe and the United States. So late-term, which is why legislation was brought forward, and Obama was one of the people who said, no, if a baby is born from an abortion... There was a nurse in the States who tried to save the baby. She was reprimanded. If the baby is born, you must leave the baby to die. So we know it happens. This works out, I mean, the numbers vary, but between 2000 and 2009, around between 20 and 70, and the average number of 40 to 50 a year.
40 to 50 a year, especially in the later years. We see that 2009, you know, it hit about 67 for the year. And I mean, when you see there was thousands of perinatal deaths in that certain period, and then you see the 491 over the 10 years, you wonder what exactly is going on, and the state in which after the delivery, what is happening. We don't know exactly what's happening. We recognize that there's a termination. Are these babies, how long do they live after this point of delivery? Are they sitting in a corner somewhere? Is someone caring for them? Is this an act of omission? Is this an act of negligence? Babies are dying after they're born, and now we need to redefine and decide what exactly the point of humanity is. I mean, you know, is it a fetus or is it a newborn? Because obviously it's coming out of the birth canal. So, I mean, we need to make a decision on this.
I have to say this. We've just heard that, was it Kate Middleton is going to have a baby?
Oh, absolutely.
Which is not
beautiful blob of tissue.
Well, yes, no one is saying, and the royal couple are expecting a fetus if they choose to have it.
Absolutely.
Suddenly it's a baby, and my God, you could never... But if anyone is doubting that this happens, they've just got to be sensible here. In the US, legislation has been introduced in states, many of them, because they know it has happened. It doesn't happen that often. If we say 50 a year with so many abortions that take place, where a late-term abortion, it's very complex, and the baby is born alive. And we know nurses have tried to save. We know others have said, no, you just let them. So we know it occurs. And why would it not occur in Canada? We have publicly funded abortion. And
it's to any point in the pregnancy. I mean, I'm not here to say that late-term abortions happen often because, you know, we don't have the statistics on it. We've been told that they're fairly rare, but they are in fact happening. And with late-term abortions, we don't know exactly how late the abortion part is. We know term-wise, gestational period, it's very close to the end.
We also know that babies can survive. Not that it's in any way an issue. When people say, can it survive outside of the womb? It's such nonsense because, you know, a newborn baby outside the womb will die very quickly. If God forbid you're knocked down by a car, unless you're helped, you will die very quickly.
Absolutely. Dependency is not an issue here.
No, it's not. But in this case, it can be relatively early. A baby will still be alive outside the womb at a relatively early stage. And for those people who've said it's not, frankly, some twit wrote to me the other day and said, well, I'm a conservative, but I don't think abortion is an issue. I don't think Cuban communism is an issue. I just care about taxes. If you don't think it's an issue, does this disturb you? The vision, the image of a baby being born after an abortion has failed, a baby breathing in a corner, being left to die in front of the eyes of doctors and nurses. If you're not disturbed by that, I have to question your humanity.
Absolutely. And then it doesn't surprise me why we can't define a child as a human if we ourselves are lacking that sense.
I wonder if there will be a response. I would think the government, this particular government especially, will just say nothing.
It needs to delve into this, and there needs to be a public outcry for this. I mean, regardless of where your stance is on abortion, I can't change that. But the truth is, something was born, it's breathing, it's alive, and we don't know what's happening past that point. So, you know, all of us as a society, we need to ask, you know, Justice Minister, you know, at one point where is a criminal offense in all of this? Because it is a crime to kill a born, breathing
Even in Canada,
human.
It is. But you know what will happen? If they mention it, then you'll have the Toronto Star and the CBC and the rest saying, look, the hidden agenda, the Tories really are interested in abortion.
I mean, when it comes to this, the 491 babies dying, it has nothing to do with abortion. It's abortion gone wrong, but it's a human at that point.
We will see. Only one issue, but I think it was well worth the full segment. Thank you very much.
Okay.